Welcome to Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zarrell.
Hey, I met you. You are not cool.
With me, as always, is professional film critic Sean Patrick.
I am the smart. I am the smart. S-M-R-T. I mean S-M-A-R-R-T.
And Josh Adams.
You goddamn communist heathen, you had best sound off that you love the Virgin Mary, or I'm gonna stomp your guts out. Now, you do love the Virgin Mary, don't you?
Visit us at IHateCritics.net, IHateCritics.com, Everyone's a Podcast, Everyone's a Critic Podcast.com.
Or Everyone's a Podcast, too.
Everyone has a podcast. Everyone has a podcast.com. I'm going to go
Let's see if that's
register
available.
that right now.
There, see reviews on Heredity and etc.
No one's going to get that.
No,
Hereditary.
I know.
It's Hereditary.
I kept pronouncing an upcoming movie wrong before we started. Facebook, we're on there. We have a Facebook group, Everyone's a Critic Podcast. Twitter and Instagram, Critics Pod is our handle there. If you want to watch the top or look at the top fives, watch the trailers, read reviews, interact. The best place is probably the group, and on Facebook, we come and go. We're not always there, depending on how busy we are, but Jason's usually there to help out. And then Patreon, IHateCritics.net/Patreon. That's the best way to help support the podcast. We do shout-outs at the end of the episode. You get a credit on the show. We have been planning this bonus episode that we're behind on, and I think we're going to, because it's a lot of work to watch the movies we watch, we're probably going to, like, Flickchart's the main part of it. We are going to do Fishing with Gandhi, because we'd already promised that. But, we do watch movies on our own, too, and so we don't bring them to the podcast, so we might bring some of those to the bonus episodes and possibly get some of you guys on to help make it more fun. I don't know. We don't want that episode to be too good. If it's really good, we want everybody to hear it. But you are paying for it, kind of. So we're in this catch-22 that I don't really know what to
Don't worry. I'll just show up. It'll take it down a notch.
I think I want it to be great so that everybody would buy it.
Yeah. But I also want to have more listeners. So it's... but yeah, we'll
have to do Catch-22 as a classic sometime, just so people can start getting that reference.
Yeah, I don't even know that I get the reference. Then I'll have to do Sophie's Choice at some point.
That will definitely please one of our Patreon supporters.
We have to do Tootsie for him at some point.
Oh, man.
Then listen to us wherever you want, but we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play. No matter where you listen to us, so please go to Apple Podcasts, subscribe, rate and review the show. That's still kind of how people view the success of a show, and those reviews, we'll read them on the air, and they help us move up the charts a little bit. And then tell your friends to subscribe, and even if they don't listen, it's nice to get. It helps us out as well. Though Apple Podcasts algorithm doesn't make any sense. It's not about downloads. It's just about activity, new activity. So anything you can do there to help grow the show would be greatly appreciated. This week, we'll start with news. There was a trailer a couple weeks ago we covered called Black Klansman. That's poster is not being hung up in theaters, or many theaters.
Right, yeah, there is a kind of going across, and this really hasn't made much mainstream news, but it's been going around movie theaters that they're not hanging up the Black Klansman poster because it is controversial. The poster depicts the star of the movie wearing a Klansman hood and holding up a hairpick. It's a very 70s style, and because of that Klansman hood and it being so prominent in the poster, there's a lot of movie theaters that saying, let's not put that up until we've really decided if we can actually put this up without getting, a blowback of some sort. Which is ironic, I guess, considering what the movie's about. Yeah, it's controversial, and actually, once this controversy kind of starts spreading, it's probably going to be more. They'll get more press from the controversy than they will from the actual poster. Which of the theaters that just put it up have just been like, "Oh yeah, look at that poster."
What'd be funny is like the movie, the people behind the movie started this controversy, and the theaters put it up anyway. Because I don't know. It's not. Yes, it's a KKK. It's a guy in a Klansman outfit, but I don't know. I feel like maybe not that prominent, but if it was like 12 Years a Slave and there was Klansmen in it, and they put that on the poster, I don't think they'd not put it up in the theaters. It almost. I don't know.
Well, if you're not allowed to put a poster up in the theater, then I guess we shouldn't be allowed to run for political office. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. I mean, so what I'm getting at is you should be able to hang the poster in the theater and not worry about it if you're going to be allowed to run for public. Like, if that's a stance that you can have and have people vote for you, then your local theater, it's okay. It's probably going to say something. You want people to see the movie. So the only marketing materials that they give you, whether it stirs up controversy or not, that's good because you want somebody talking about it. Posters usually don't do that. This would be one of those cases.
It's certainly a provocative image. Would it be more provocative, though, if he were a white guy under a Klan hood?
Part of me thinks it would be in the theater, to be honest with you. I'm not kidding. But I think if it were a white guy, it'd probably not be the type of movie it is.
Right.
Which even then makes it more hypocritical. I don't know. It's just, if it was played seriously and this was the poster, I don't think there'd be a problem. I really don't get it. And maybe it is something that's not a real controversy, that they're making a controversy to... I don't know. It's got us talking about it.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And then we had 3 trailers. We could start out with Peppermint.
Peppermint, Jennifer Garner does Taken, right?
Yeah. I'd much rather watch this than Old Man Neeson.
Bob actually messaged us and said that you were she was more likely to be able to beat you up than Liam Neeson.
Probably. She's only a couple years older than I am. I'd probably let her. And there's a couple things.
Not a great trailer. It doesn't look like a great movie.
No. But neither was Taken. It's the same people that did Taken.
It's a weird turn for her as an actress to go back to action after she's been she's been doing Christian movies, and
she's been character, like not even good character work, but like a small character and all sorts of she's played the mom a lot, and now she gets a chance to play alias mom, I guess. I don't.
There's a lot of women though that didn't start being action stars until the point in time where Jennifer Garner's at. I hate to say it, but like Sigourney Weaver wasn't, an action star really until she did Aliens. Alien, she wasn't the action star. So at some point, all actresses can do that, no matter what age they might be, I suppose.
It's just the weird trajectory because she began as an action star with Alias and then Elektra, and that seemed to be the trajectory of her career. Then she totally went completely a different direction.
Well, Elektra put a bad taste in her mouth.
Yeah.
Sure. And this...
There's a joke there. I'm not going to complete it. Go ahead.
At best, this is fun. That's the best this movie can be.
It's a weird title.
Yeah. Because they kind of abandoned the Peppermint angle early on. Because it sounds like Peppermint gets taken or gotten rid of. It's more accurate. I don't know. The highest bar is fun. That's kind of the best this movie can be. Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Ralph breaks the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I laughed at the trailer. I don't know if it's all that inventive. Breaks the internet. Is that still a thing?
People still say it. I mean, it started with Kim Kardashian, but now anytime something goes even mildly viral, it breaks the internet.
That is a good point. Maybe the title is only slightly past its prime, but
then the trailer comments on the fact that it's a bad title, like talking about how it should be Ralph Wrecks the Internet.
I'm sure that it'll be fun. There's something about that first one that always will hold a special place. It's once again commenting on our feelings of nostalgia, just like the first one did with the 80s games. You've got many properties in this trailer that speak to us, and Disney can do all of that under one roof, including all of the princesses in one room.
Maybe this
That's
will be
fun
a
scene.
better version of Ready Player One.
Hey, now.
I was going to say a
Man.
better version of the Emoji Movie. Because, I mean, it's not that different than that or Lego Movie, or, you know, there's something there that kind of reminds me of those two. Obviously, Emoji Movie was not good, and Lego Movie was really good. I feel like it's going to land somewhere in between. But it kind of has that same feel where you just kind of go on a journey in this little world that has things you recognize in it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think the first Wreck-It Ralph's, that's one of my favorite animated movies, especially lately. I can't think of an animated movie I like more in the last few years than Wreck-It Ralph.
Man, that was 6 years ago.
And
That's really weird.
I don't know which one I would like more since then. And I'm sure you could name one, but I don't know that I'd agree.
Inside Out.
No. I'll take Wreck-It Ralph any day of the week. And
I don't know if I'm trying to convince you. I'm just mentioning better animated films,
in your opinion.
in my opinion.
Finish the spot, man.
Well, no.
I was able to break that movie. No one else thought of it, and they still don't think of my angle of it. The Suspiria remake.
That is so awesome. That was phenomenal. Man, Luca Guadagnino is amazing. That trailer looks incredible. I'm terrified of Tilda Swinton. Just absolutely terrified of Tilda Swinton now. I'm excited. I can't wait.
There's a lot of talent in this film. I didn't realize how many people I would recognize when the trailer started playing, and the music is effective. The way that the trailer is paced is effective. The first shots of the film, including the first poster, as I understand it, didn't hit really well with the sites that like to pump up horror films if they show any promise at all. But this trailer is extremely effective. I remember watching the Dario Argento film back in, I think it's late 2015, early 2016.
On your phone, if I remember right.
Yes. Oh, what a horrible experience that was. But man, I had forgotten about that. But yeah, and it didn't lend the film any credit because it was on such a small
visual movie.
Yes, I'm thinking that this might be something I'm actually really excited to see. Factoring in "Call Me by Your Name" and in Guadagnino's filmmaking style, that was a very attractive part of that film, was the style in which that film was made. So I'm curious to see what this will be.
I do feel like it's going to be more visual than story based, though. Based on, I mean, it's clearly a visual trailer, so I'm wondering how that. I mean, don't watch it on your phone. That's what I'm saying. I guess the only thing I worry about is the remake, and at some point we're going to hold the two next to each other, and it's you know, you're asking for it, but it's not fair at the same time. It's that old debate that we always have, but at the same time, I'm excited about it, and we'll see. When does it come out? Do we know yet?
November, I thought.
Yeah,
I could be wrong about that.
So is Wreck-It Ralph, if I remember. Let's get to our movies, unless there's anything else I'm forgetting. All right, the best movie this week in terms of box office that's new is Adrift.
Adrift, starring Shailene Woodley and Sam Claflin, directed by Baltasar Kormakar, who directed Everest as well as this. And Everest, of course, you remember I didn't like because it was I didn't care for his approach to it. I didn't care for the characters, and I mostly don't care for people going to Everest. It really does not impress me. And I don't feel sorry for you if you die going up Everest. I just don't. You made your bed. Now you're going to die in it on a freezing to death. And this movie kind of faced a similar uphill battle with me, so to speak, because I was kind of concerned, like, am I really going to feel for people who are rich enough to take time off from their life to just sail around the world? And turns out, yeah, I've got a lot of sympathy for these characters. These are fantastic characters. Shailene Woodley especially is incredible in this true story about this couple who really aren't rich people. I mean, he grew up around boats and ended up building his own boat and was able to sail at places and do other work to get money to continue to sail. And I've kind of appreciated sort of a working class sailor aspect of it. She's kind of a drifter who winds up in a South Sea island and meets him, and they fall in love, and they've got a lovely little love story that's really visual. And Cormac Carr does an amazing job of really capturing that story visually, because he doesn't have a lot of time to spend with them as a couple, because he's got to get to this the big storm and whatnot. But it's broken up. So we start with the aftermath of the storm, and then we go back to their relationship, and then we're going back and forth between her survival story and also going back to the storm and building up toward the storm. And there are some gimmicks at play here too. There's one big gimmick that's going to turn off some audiences, but I didn't mind it so much because I thought it was so skillfully done. I was really surprised. This is a really moving film, and it's also exceptionally shot. This is shot so much better than Everest. He's much more inventive with the way he's shooting here, with the water and his use of light and his use of the wreckage and the storm even. He uses these really unique angles that I really loved, even during just the love story, and then, of course, during the action scenes. So it's really well shot, but then Shailene Woodley is really, really great in this performance. This is really one of the best movies of the year, and I was really shocked that it was that good, because, again, I had so much of that going against him from Everest that I was really surprised just how well this does. But I think that's partially because this is a true story, and these are two really sympathetic people in real life.
I guess my main question is, if you had to watch it again, is it possible that because of the low bar that you obviously had overachieved, is it as good as you're saying? I think I maybe I didn't say it on the show, but I kind of liked the trailer. If I was going to see a movie, it'd be this movie this week. But there's a lot of storm movies, but it did look pretty solid. But you're really like, where would you rank it? Have you done your list yet for this week?
I haven't done the list yet for this week, but it's going to be up there around where like Best Friends Volume 1 and Annihilation are.
Really?
That's impressive.
Probably below Tully.
Wow. So it's above or below Annihilation?
That one probably go Annihilation, but Best Friends is kind of more of an experience than it is a movie, so I could probably put it above that.
Huh,
that's promising. Sam Claflin being my choice for He-Man, I'm kind of...
Let's not go to He-Man
No,
again.
I won't. I'm just as an aside. I'm rooting for him. Right. I'm rooting for him.
There's a cat in my yard. What the fuck? I'm allergic to cats. I apologize. We have windows and I just saw a cat walk by. I apologize. I'm like Ron
He's right
Santo.
there. He's like right there.
So let him in. Upgrade.
You mean a dog? Yeah, because dogs are better than cats. Anyway. Upgrade, yes. This is directed by Lee Wan-el, who is, of course, one of the people behind Saw and Insidious, and known for his horror work. Here, we're kind of working sort of horror, sort of sci-fi. The idea here is that a guy is attacked, his wife is killed, he is left paralyzed, and this multi-billionaire who he was selling a car to happens to have this technology that he wants to give him, put in his body, that'll help him walk again. He needs to do human trials, and he doesn't want to tell the government, so the guy's got to pretend to still be paralyzed while he has these rather superhuman abilities from this chip in his neck that helps him walk and go back to having a sort of normal life, except that he kind of has superhuman abilities. This thing in his neck can talk to him even and tell him what to do and take over for him and operate as needed. And he uses that computer then to try and track down the people who killed his wife. And that's going to lead him on a story that's pretty familiar. But what Lee Wan-el does really smartly is he takes a very familiar plot and then applies some unique sensibilities to it. He, like I said, with the Saw movies, he always came up with something weird to put in the Saw movies that was a little bit different, whether it was the philosophy of the Saw movies or it was those unique kills. And here he's got a lot of a similar idea, less on the philosophy, but more on the unique kills. He's definitely got some unique ideas for how to eliminate people, gory ideas that you're kind of like, whoa, I did not expect that in this movie. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. The action is really smart. It's well shot on that kind of lower bar for low-budget horror movie. But like I said, Lee Whannell's a very smart director, and he knows what he's doing here. He gets a good performance out of this relatively unknown actor. He's got really an entirely unknown cast for the most part. But it works. A lot of the stuff about this works. Comes up with a lot of unique ideas. Military guys who have guns implanted into their bodies, which is kind of cool. He just kind of puts his hand out like Iron Man, and a bullet comes flying out. There's one point that I was kind of like, something happens, like one of these super soldiers has an ability that I thought, well, why doesn't he just do that all the time and just this would be over with already? But I got over it because I was enjoying the movie too much to be too taken aback by it.
Gives another definition to conceal and carry if you've got it in your hands, you know.
Should have made Universal Soldier our classic.
Coming up soon.
It was really cool. There's a really cool autopsy scene too, where you get to see the gun and how it's in there.
Lee Whannell's my choice to direct He-Man.
No.
He'd
They
do it
already
on-
got a director.
He'd do it on a nice budget. It'd be fine.
We're gonna have to put Josh's entire He-Man treatment in the book. With illustrations. You'll have to do illustrations too.
Yeah, don't stop. Keep going.
Treatment in quotes.
Now, can they take that? Like, if you did that, since it is like you've seen I don't know if you've seen it, but you've heard they did like an adult Power Rangers on YouTube, and Saban took it down. Could you do that in a book?
I don't know.
Or would they? Like, if you truly wrote a treatment and published it, would they?
I think you would treat it like fan art or fan fiction. I mean,
Can you publish fan fiction?
sell it. I don't know about that. Fan fiction is generally available online to download, so that's a good question.
It's a bit of a turn.
www.ihatecritics.net.
We'll change it. He'll call it Me-Man and the Bastards of the Universe, and just say this is kind of this is our idea.
Well, I wasn't even calling it He-Man.
See, I
The Legend of Grayskull.
want Tarantino to direct Sean's movie. We'd forget about He-Man altogether. Action Point.
Action Point, yes. The latest Jackass movie, Johnny Knoxville. Actually, it's only two of the guys, really. Johnny Knoxville and Chris Pontius. Set in the late 1970s in Southern California at an amusement park owned by Johnny Knoxville's character. He basically doesn't have many rules. He lets kids do whatever they want, and people get hurt. He gets hurt a lot. And when they get competition from an actual amusement park, they start even taking out what little rules they had, coming up with even more elaborate and dangerous things for people to do at the park. It's weird. It's this weird amalgam because, like, you get the Johnny Knoxville hurting himself, and he does some really actual stuff. Like, he's actually getting hurt throughout this movie. He's doing his own stunts, and they're doing basically Jackass stunts in the movie. Only he's doing them in character, so it's weird, but it's there. And if you enjoy Johnny Knoxville getting hurt, which I do, not that I don't like him, he just gets hurt really well. I enjoy that. Then, part of this movie works. The dramatic part about the story about his daughter coming to stay for a summer and wanting him to give up his parental rights, and the battle that they're having there is kind of, who cares? Like, it's getting in the way of Johnny Knoxville getting hurt repeatedly. So that doesn't necessarily work. And so I'm kind of mixed on this one. I don't hate it, but I don't really like it a lot. But I do like him getting hurt. And plus, I think that really holds me back from liking this movie is that it's based off of the true story of Action Park in New Jersey, which, if you've heard the Dollop episode on that, is absolutely hilarious and dark because people died at Action Park in New Jersey. Multiple people were killed in accidents at Action Park in New Jersey due to the negligence that they had there, due to the lack of rules that they had there. Their 1,000-foot wave pool that they had to save 30 people a day in from drowning. Just these are remarkable stories of people like doing flume rides and accidentally falling out and stepping on wires that were exposed underwater. Like, really ridiculous stories that would make for a hell of a movie if you had the balls to make it. And Action Point does not have the balls to make that movie.
I don't know. All I'm thinking about is like those adults, like back when I was kids, we could do these. Well, if you survived,
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the dumber aspects of this movie too. Is them say is he does the story in he's telling the story to his granddaughter
Is
years
it-
later.
sequel to the Bad Grandpa movie,
Kind
loosely?
of. Yeah, I
That's
mean
the
he's
character.
kind of playing that grandpa character. Yeah, he just likes that makeup, I guess. But yeah, he's telling the story, and so he does do that. Back in my day, you didn't have to do all this, and it was better because you could just hurt yourself if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, for me, I don't, like, it's not meant for me to like, but I find myself when I see it laughing, so I think the fact that it catches me off guard, because I always go in there not wanting to like it, and then I end up laughing a lot. I didn't see this one, obviously, but I'm sure at some point basically, I'm getting sick of going to the video store and not having anything to rent, so I have to take a week off every now and then. I've seen everything. It sucks. I don't know. Any thoughts for you, Josh? Or
I'm only thinking of. Did you guys ever get injured at an amusement park or
No.
something like that? I did once at a local slide place or whatever out in Iowa, and I got a concussion because I was going so fast down a tube that I hit my head on the top, and I would have drowned in the water had somebody not helped me immediately. I mean, I was going down after someone like that, and I just realized at the time, like, that was so dangerous. I can't believe that actually was allowed to have happen or whatever. But it was just, you're going fast, and those things can happen. Sometimes you don't have any control over them. And then it amazes me, though, that I didn't think of ever talking to anyone at the park. Like, this is dangerous. Because, I'm 15, 16 years old at
Right.
the time. But in retrospect, boy, I guess you can't really do that anymore. This place doesn't exist, of course, the place that I'm talking about. So,
Yeah, the Action Park in New Jersey went out of business, but it wasn't until 1990, I think, that they actually ceased business.
really?
It was that long. They were managed to stay in business for that long, for about 12 years. Yeah, Action Park in New Jersey. And the thing about it is, like, they had this real thing at Action Park, and they portray it in the movie, but they don't do a good job of telling you how crazy it is. A loop-de-loop in a water slide. That's a real thing that Action Park in New Jersey tried to do, to the point where they had to build in a trapdoor to get people out who got stuck in it. Actually built in a trapdoor so they can get people out of it. And they put that in the movie, but you only see it. You don't actually see people use it. And I don't understand, like, you didn't take full advantage of this.
So now you got me thinking about Suburban Commando, because you said it made
And
it
then back to He-Man somehow.
you made it to the 90s, and then there's a line in that movie where he's like, I'm not going to hit you. This is the 90s. I'm going to sue you. I don't know why I know that line. But they got to the lawsuit era, and that's why the park went down.
And then Hulk Hogan plays He-Man.
No. Maybe 40 years ago.
he'd be a better Ram Man, to be honest, or something like
Back
that.
in the day, he'd have been the perfect He-Man.
It's true.
You have to understand, the look is as important as the acting.
To you. Maybe I don't understand the target demographic of He-Man. I'm constantly trying to reinvent things to be more like how I want them to be.
Pussy Man.
That would be a perfect name for the Sam Claflin version.
Oh, no. Well, in that movie, I mean, I guess Battle Cat would be very appropriate.
Battle Pussy. Who's also in book club. So
All
there
right. This is getting to be fun.
Or Cringer. The writer.
Oh, this is such an inappropriate introduction for this movie.
Oh, with the cat writing. It's I don't know.
I don't know where your mind was going.
I really don't know what this movie's about, so I apologize if it's offensive. We're talking about.
This is directed by Chloe Zhao, who's a tremendous director, and this is a gorgeous movie. The writer is a group of mostly unknown actors acting out this story of a young man who was injured in a rodeo. He suffered a massive thing when a horse stepped on his head and cracked his skull. And you see the staples in his head, and he's basically told that if he gets back on a horse, he could die because of the brain trauma. And of course, this has been his entire life, even though he's only 24 years old, all he's ever done. He trains horses, he rides horses, he rodeos. That's what he does. And now he's told he's not supposed to do that. And him coming to terms with that is a very emotional story, and it's extraordinarily well acted amongst this group of people who it's a son, and then his father, his real father, and his real sister who's autistic. And she's really really an extraordinary part of this. She's just so real and so believable because, she's not really acting all that much. That's her real brother, and she's just kind of saying what people tell her to say. But she does so beautifully. The relationship between father and son is so natural because, of course, they're actually father and son. He's even got a mentor who actually suffered an even worse injury that he goes to see, and that guy's really in bad shape, and that's kind of a symbol of what could happen to him if he were to try and continue. And that story is very emotional. This movie, is set in South Dakota, and if South Dakota at magic hour is beautiful. It's not hard to make that look great. Right. And she captures it beautifully every single time. It looks like a Terrence Malick movie at times. That's how beautiful this movie is. It's gorgeous. The story is very emotional and exceptionally well acted. This is one of the best movies of the year. It'll be right up there probably with Adrift, with Annihilation, and like Tully, and I'm blanking on the
Black
Jason
Panther?
Sudeikis movie. The Jason Sudeikis.
Kodachrome.
Kodachrome, thank you. It'll be right up there in that group. It's going to be hard to decide, actually, where this one goes. It may actually rival Black Panther.
You have Black Panther ahead of those movies?
I have Black Panther at number 1.
You're an idiot.
I love Black Panther. I don't care. Black Panther's number 1.
That's good.
For this year.
That's good. Anyway.
That's okay. Remember halfway through 2014 when I said The Winter Soldier was the best movie of the year, and he's like, "You're an idiot." Don't worry, I'm with you.
He wants a little girl to be He-Man. That was inappropriate. I apologize.
Dude is a quality actor, man.
The point is that the writer is amazing and everybody needs to see it, and nobody went to see it this week because there were nothing but empty theaters for this.
Looking at the synopsis of this and listening to you explain it at the beginning, I keep leaning towards, this would fit right into the Pure Flix type of range, where you've got somebody that can't wait to get back on a horse and rodeos, and it plays into a particular demographic of the Pure Flix success films. But then I look at it and it says rated R, and I say, this movie's taking things seriously here. That makes a big difference for me in the decision to watch it or not.
And it's neat that you had the real people, and you had a great director in Clint Eastwood who couldn't pull that off. So
yeah, no kidding.
That's, he ended up making one of the worst movies ever made, and she's here able to make one of the best movies of the year. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's
own
really
right.
it's really a phenomenal thing that she's done here. These are, like I said, these aren't people who've acted before, and she brings out they're people who are authentic rodeo people. Like they're a rodeo family, and they train horses, so they've got a natural thing with horses there. But it's an entirely original story that she came up with for them that happened to just fit them. It's an absolute must see.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event for the linear, legitimate, and universally recognized, undisputed classic.
All right, this week's undisputed classic is The Poseidon Adventure.
An absolute not must see. This comes from a guy named Irwin Allen, and he didn't direct it. He's just a producer in the 1970s who made his money on disaster movies. He made the airport movies where Dean Martin was crashing a plane or something. The Towering Inferno with Steve McQueen and Paul Newman, and he's got Gene Hackman here, and he's sinking him in a boat because he's got a big hard-on for disasters, I guess. The Poseidon is a ship that probably shouldn't be going as fast as it's going, and then they go too fast, and then they get into a storm and it flips over. And then Gene Hackman, for some reason, is a priest who knows how to get out of the boat, and everybody else stays down there.
I wouldn't say knows how to get out of the boat. He just knows that the water is down here. We should go up. That's kind of all he knows.
Most of the people on the boat are really stupid, though.
Yes.
Because they don't have main character powers. You have to have main character powers to know where to go and how to climb the boat.
That is true. I don't know. I mean, my dad and brother loved this movie, so that was the only reason I even brought it up as a potential classic, just because I didn't really know where to go. I didn't really want to do a Jackass movie, and
right.
I don't really know what else we could have done. A Perfect Storm's not that old, not that good either. I don't. So I went this one. I don't. I just find it really watchable for an old. It's definitely outdated. I wouldn't necessarily call it a classic, but I put it up there with like the Black Panthers and the superhero movies and the fun little popcorn movies.
This was one of the first disaster films I saw, if not the first one that I saw. It was one of those, like, it's on in the afternoon on
Right.
basic cable, and you're going to spend 3.5, 4 hours of your life watching during the weekend at some point. And I found myself interested in this because the idea of drowning in water in the ocean and whatnot was scary enough to really hold me in place. And then the scene in which they're all trying to dive and whatnot in this film, I remember that very well. If I remember correctly, because I didn't get to watch it this week, I'll be honest with the crowd at least, but I've seen it a number of times. That's the scene where somebody has a heart attack
Yes,
and dies.
Rosemary Clooney.
Okay. There's a. I'll always remember that scene as well. You say that you can only hold your breath underwater for like a half a minute or something
30
like
seconds,
that,
yeah.
and these people have to go from point A to point B, and it never seemed realistic to me, but somehow they did it. And so whenever I was having a moment underwater where I thought, oh, maybe I could just hold on for a little while longer. No, that was a movie. The Poseidon Adventure is a movie. So this movie does hold a place in my life somewhere.
In fairness, I mean, not that I'm going to call it perfectly accurate movie, but when your life's on the line, you can hold your breath longer than 30 seconds.
Oh, absolutely.
I was watching the movie and I held my breath for 40 seconds.
Right.
Yeah. It also reminds me.
I have asthma, by the way.
Okay, maybe I could go for longer. I don't know. Fans of the Alien franchise can remember the only part of Alien Resurrection that you really want to watch or whatnot. They're going underwater for like a long period of time. They have to get from point A to point B. And I remember watching some special features, and they're saying like, we wanted something really unique that's really never been seen on film before. And I'm like, in your own studio 25 years earlier is the Poseidon Adventure, you morons.
Yeah, I mean, it's not by no means a... I would say if it's a classic, it's to a certain section of people. It at best is just a fun, watchable action movie, disaster movie, if you will. But it's definitely watchable.
It's a cheesy B movie.
It's not quite a B movie.
The weird part about that, is that Oscar gave it a little bit of notoriety, and that Shelley Winters was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for this one.
I thought it was Rosemary Clooney. Maybe I was wrong. I don't know. I don't remember who she was.
I remember Shelley Winters
Could be
only
Shelley,
because
yeah.
my mom kept
Maybe
saying
it was
Shelley
Shelley
Winters.
Winters.
Maybe
I don't know.
who knows? And then the song about the film
There's got
was
to be
nominated as well.
Dear God, what a song!
It was back in the day of songs like this that really are just kind of super cheesy.
Well, it's that idea that somebody who's like an old guy in the 70s thinks this is a song that the kids will like because it sounds like the songs that kids would like. And no, it's not. It's a shitty song that nobody likes. But you put it in this movie just to have a soundtrack. You corporate prick.
It won something. Special achievement or something. I don't know what that even is.
Did you? But honestly, did you want to strangle that kid for the moment you saw him.
Oh,
'Cause
the kid.
I wanted that kid to drown so badly. Like, I hated him so much.
Can I be honest? I watched it on my phone. That's not a joke from earlier. I really did.
Watching classics on your phone.
Well, but I've seen it, like Josh, I've seen it a million times on basic cable, so I knew the movie, and
Right.
it was just easier to get multiple things done while watching this movie. But I found it kept pulling me back, and I was kind of watching it, and Gene Hackman's got a certain charisma to him, and Ernest Borgnine's fun enough. All the females in it. It's just I don't know. It's like a better version of Daylight or something like that. Or a better version of Poseidon would be a better.
We're like an
Comparison.
R-rated episode of The Love Boat.
Maybe the Love Boat you wanted to see.
Exactly. Dario Argento's Love Boat.
Sean's review. If they called it the Love Boat, I would have loved this movie.
Would have been some irony involved there.
I'd have enjoyed Julie and Doc a little bit more than these characters.
But going along with that kid, I guess our top five jackasses. Although I think Ernest Borgnine was more of a jackass in the movie.
You're not allowed to put me on the list. I'm not in the movie.
Put your top five. Who's your top five?
I don't. We didn't have any Instagram, did we?
Yeah, getting a new phone meant I was logged out of Instagram, and apparently the password for the podcast is not what I thought it was, so I didn't get back in.
Here, let me give it to you on the air.
All right. I almost said it, so that's why I corrected
I
myself.
think you might have said it, to be honest with you, but that's okay.
I didn't, because I tried that.
Check your cap locks. Uncle Jeff, he had Heather Mooney from Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion. Number 4, Meredith Blake, The Parent Trap, 1988. Number 3, Stan Gable from Revenge of the Nerds. 2, Bror Blixen, Out of Africa. Number 1, Franklin Hart, 9 to 5. Jason from New Mexico, I believe, had all animals. 5, actually had donkeys. 5, Gus from Gus. 4, Francis from Francis the Talking Mule. 3, Benjamin from Animal Farm. 3, Eeyore from Christopher Robin, which does that even come out yet? And then 1, Donkey from Shrek.
All right, hold on a second here. I'm noticing that there's a conspicuously missing donkey on this list. Balthazar from Al-Hazard Balthazar is missing from this donkey list. How is that possible when it was a classic? He just found the first 5 donkeys, perhaps. I don't know.
Now you're going to make him feel bad about it. I had Leo Getz from Lethal Weapon 2 through 4, Trent from Swingers, Jay from Jay and Silent Bob movies, Paulie from Rocky, and then Walter from The Big Lebowski.
I have a list that I concocted hastily, but also you took Walter, so I didn't really want to put him on my list. But my number 1 kind of goes along with it. 5, Trevor or the Mandarin from Iron Man 3. That was kind of a fun jackass character. Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. 3, David from Prometheus and Alien Covenant. That's one jackass guy right there. 2, or android. 2 is Lando from Empire Strikes Back, or Solo. And 1 is Everett from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? That's a jackass that I quote often.
I mean, in a way, Solo could kind of be a jackass.
Sure.
At least in Solo.
I went with the angle of he kind of had to betray his friends, and all that good stuff.
No, I agree.
I just I couldn't come up with anything for this. I wanted to try. I started funny, and then they found out that wasn't funny, and then I couldn't really come up with a good angle other than, I guess, my number 1, the character I hate the most, like if you want to call him a jackass, is Anakin Skywalker from the original trilogy, from the second trilogy.
Fair enough.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah,
you could make him 1 through 5.
There you go.
Number 18 in 1988. Squeezed and pulled and hurt my neck in 1988.
Squeezed and pulled and hurt your neck in 1988.
All right, 1988.
might as well go with the big release for the week.
American Gothic.
Actually, you know what? Let's start there because you rarely get to lead this particular category.
Don't make me lead.
Well, no, I haven't seen it, and I have a feeling you have, and I was interested.
I found it on YouTube, watched it on my phone. The voice and the mouth were not synced up.
Oh, I hate that shit. Ooh.
So I tried to not look at the screen as much as possible. Kind of a letdown. Other than, I mean, even if I had a good, I'm sure it was okay if you're like a super horror fan, but we've seen these character in the woods with weird people movies before, and this one is definitely lesser than almost all of them that I've seen. I don't. Have you ever seen it, Sean?
No, I've never.
I mean, it's a movie I always wanted to see. Obviously, the painting is, it just looks creepy. But then the movie itself is just more about teenagers running into old people and weird people, and you've seen it so many times that this one doesn't stand out. I think the cover of the movie box stands out more than anything else.
Well, sure. It's Rod Steiger and Yvonne DiCarlo on the front cover. That would do it for me. Especially those Yvonne DiCarlo in a horror film, right? I mean, that.
I would have liked more. I don't know. I would have rather throw the kids out of the movie and do something else. It was just too. We've seen it before.
No, you said you watched this on YouTube. Was it on your phone? Maybe that was the problem.
Possibly.
Okay. Let's just get the ones out of the way that we don't really want to talk about. Shy People stars Jill Clayburgh and Barbara Hershey. Didn't crack $1 million. And none of us watched it. Am I correct? Okay.
I did find it on YouTube. I just ran out of time.
Okay.
My phone was dead.
A supposed comedy. I say supposed because I've seen this. It's just been a long time. My Best Friend is a Vampire, starring the king of all films like this. What's that?
The guy from House?
Yes, Robert Sean Leonard. This and My Boyfriend's Back. I hate both of those movies so much. For a solid decade, My Boyfriend's Back was the movie I hated the most. And then I saw, other movies. But, yeah, there's just something very lazy about those particular movies.
It was the thing in the 80s of taking like those classic monster characters and putting them in high schools. Fuck you.
Yeah, I did watch it. Not on my phone, on a TV in my kitchen. And I spent the whole time going, I don't get it. Sean kind of summed it up perfect, but that's kind of what I was feeling, but more in a PG version. Which it is a PG movie talking about sex the entire time, which is just odd.
We'll get to that in just a moment, speaking of. Also, Funny Farm, starring Chevy Chase.
Oh, I hate this movie so much.
I kind of like it. And watching a little bit of it this week didn't do it justice. I may have missed something going forward because I didn't quite get to the scene I think is in this movie. You guys might be able to help me out with this. There's a scene in which Chevy Chase eats mountain oysters.
Yes.
Okay, so it is Funny Farm. I was hoping I wouldn't miss that. And then it turns out that they're actually sheep balls.
Yeah.
Well, this movie always reminds me to make sure that you know what you're ordering at a restaurant or you'll end up eating testicles.
Well, hold on. I want to stop you there because
sure.
If it's good, who cares?
Yeah.
If it tastes delicious, does it matter that you're eating balls?
Let me poll some people. I don't know.
Well, I'm asking if you're enjoying what you're eating, do you really care what it is?
Yeah, I don't want to eat bugs. They may be delicious. They're full of protein, but I don't really want to eat it.
I mean, human meat's probably pretty tasty, but I don't want to eat that.
Okay, but that's different because you got to kill somebody to eat it, or you got to eat it dead. But I don't know. Just if it's good, who cares?
All right. Well, Bob, I'll serve you up a big old platter of Soylent Green. Okay.
I'm vegan.
As long as it's good. Hey, if you're that vegan and into recycling and whatnot, maybe Salo is the movie for you. I don't know. back to Funny Farm, Chevy Chase vehicle that did reasonably well, and I remember liking it. My mother liked it too, but not for everyone.
What I didn't like about it was that I'd gotten so used to Chevy Chase was kind of moving from those movies where he was kind of that Bugs Bunny character to trying to be more of a normal character, and I really just didn't care for that. Maybe that's just me, but I really didn't care for this particular character and Chevy Chase as one. It just didn't work for me. He's kind of a dick too in this movie.
Well, he's kind of a dick in real life, from what I understand.
Right.
I'm kind of with Josh on that, but I guess I'm in between because there's still a little bit of that Bugs Bunny character in this movie because I did watch it this weekend, but it's not consistent. Like, it comes and goes, which is kind of a turn off, and then you add the dick element to it, and it's also stuff we've seen him do before better. So I like it okay, but I'd rather watch Fletch or Caddyshack or whatever else, Saturday Night Live for that matter, than this one. But I like him enough that it's watchable, I guess.
Big story of the week then is Big, starring Tom Hanks, directed by Penny Marshall.
Do that joke twice.
Just don't sell it, and you're fine.
I missed it. What's the joke?
It was a big joke.
Okay. All right. This is considered a nostalgia classic for many, many people, especially our age.
Especially me.
Yes, you seem to be a huge fan of this movie. In fact, calling it the best movie of '88 in Uncle Jeff's recent poll
of 5 movies, the best of the 5
of the 5 that were box office successes, and this was a huge success in 1988. I saw this in the theater twice. Is a good representation of how popular it was, at least in our house. Not just the scenes in FAO Schwartz, but most of his childlike humor it was funny the entire time back then. I don't remember being uncomfortable in the theater all that much, but looking back on it, I don't know why. This is a movie that was marketed in such a way that, like, you could go see it as a kid. First of all, it's rated PG. Second of all, it's Tom Hanks, like, he's a comedy guy, right? Okay. And I guess I'm a little bothered by the fact that I watched it last night, and I'm looking at this movie and saying, like, as an adult, this makes sense, but this is not for kids. But as a kid, it was being marketed to me. And it really is more of a movie for adults trying to rekindle the part of themselves that they've lost. Many characters in this film like him, like Josh Baskin, the Tom Hanks character, because of the way that he acts, and they're rekindling something in themselves that they've lost, especially in the corporate culture in this film. That speaks to an adult viewer as opposed to a kid character. The kid character, this is too much for you to absorb as a 9-year-old. Maybe that's why I didn't absorb it. I was ignoring all of it.
I don't know that I think you're absorbing. I think it's kind of made for both. Yes, there's things like they say the F word in it. There's a uncomfortable sex scene I watched with my son that I'll get to later on.
Yeah.
But there's enough in there for them to enjoy it for what is there for them, and then there is that adult stuff for when you grow up. You're like, oh my god, this is even better than I remember it being, kind of thing. Or I guess depending on how this isn't the same movie I watched when I was a kid. However you want to look at it, but that's kind of, I don't know. I just wanted to.
I'd like to hear your opinion first.
Oh, I love this movie. This movie gets better every time I watch it. Honestly, just Penny Marshall is a great director.
He's no Gary.
Fuck you. I hate Carrie Marshall. His sister is like just the exact opposite of him. She has all the talent. He has none of it. She's amazing, and she's such a smart director. The way she gets her comedy beats in, but her dramatic beats strike so much harder too because of that. Because she's got such great characters. Everybody gives Tom Hanks all the credit, and he deserves a great deal of credit. It's a great performance, but her direction is really smart, and she makes his performance possible through that really smart direction and the way she captures that. There's so many great scenes in this movie, but I always loved, as a kid and as an adult, I can't get enough of that scene where he's talking about the toys, and they talk about the building that turns into a robot. He's like,
I don't get it.
I don't get it. Yeah, that's just such a great scene. scene. As a kid, I'm watching that going, yeah, I don't get it either.
I identify.
I loved that scene. I loved that. There's a couple of scenes like that in this movie that are really just really smart. And yeah, that character, the Elizabeth Perkins boyfriend character, he was like the bad guy in every 80s movie, but it still kind of works because Hanks is so good at making that guy look like an asshole.
Yeah, the late John Hurd.
Yeah.
Home Alone's dad.
You look like you had more you wanted to say before I jumped in there, just because there was where you were at, I wanted to mention something, but...
It has been a long time since I've seen this, at least 20 years, actually.
Really?
Yeah, and it wasn't in my collection, and I was wondering why that was the case. Usually when I love a film that much, it becomes something that I'd like to get a hold of. And I think I understood why. I understand all of those scenes are iconic. The piano scene, the toy scene, him going throughout his new loft apartment. That's great stuff. That's the stuff of kids' dreams right there. It really is. But then it goes by really quickly, and the movie sometimes fails to pause and recognize some of the more poignant moments. It's more of like a brush upon it thing. And whereas it's probably more like a couple of months in time, it seems like it's 4 or 5 days. And the movie just seems a little hasty in that matter. And Pick a Lane, also, it either needs to be something of a fish out of water story in the other direction, or you need to have drama. I guess I was asking the film to pick a lane last night when I was watching it, and that's not fair to the film per se. It is a good film. I think I just would have liked it more this time if it had been a little more consistent. When I was younger, I accepted a lot more of this because there were cool things in it, and that's fine, but it must have been the first film that I heard the F-bomb dropped in, or one of the first ones. I was very surprised when I heard that coming out of his mouth.
It was in the movie.
Yeah, and that particular scene that you're referring to with the squeezing, I guess you could say that will happen, and I guess if there's an introduction to something, if you're watching with a child, well, okay, that's not the worst thing that could happen, right? I had debated with my son's mother for a number of weeks whether or not we were going to let him watch this when it came up, and she had wanted to reserve it for her. Being on this show, I often steal all of the thunder, and this one she really wanted for herself, and it came up this week, and she's like, I'm not real sure about that, and I understand why. We've had the discussions we needed to have with him, but it still doesn't prepare you for how they're going to react in the scene. I saw it when I was 9, right? So times are different, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw it as a kid too, and I mean, I understand what you're saying with the pick a lane. I don't think it affects the movie. I think you definitely have 2 lanes going at once, but I think they're both strong lanes, if that makes any sense. It's when you guys talk about Wonder Woman or Black Panther and say it's a real movie along with the comic movie, and I just see a comic movie. For here, I see a real movie with this fun little popcorn movie. I still think it's the best thing Tom Hanks has ever done, and he's done a lot of great things. This movie kind of affects the way I watch Saving Private Ryan and other things he's done because he's so good in it. And obviously, Penny Marshall is the main reason why it was good. I agree with Sean completely. I don't know. I like this movie better every time I see it, just like Sean did. And I did watch it with my son, and when it got to that scene with Elizabeth Perkins, he covered his eyes and pulled it back down. And then his mouth just started moving, kind of like he was kissing her, but not knowing he was doing it. And it was really awkward for him.
Oh, right.
When I caught him doing it. And I don't know. Josh and I have kind of come up with completely opposite backgrounds where I couldn't watch anything, and he got to watch everything. And so I've just been more let my kid watch, not everything, but
sure,
within reason.
Just about.
A lot of it I'm playing for the show.
I know.
Yeah. I guess you could say what was in my head, and especially for this movie too, it falls right in line with that's what happened to me. I don't think it worked out real well. Let's try it the other way and see what happens. And
that's exactly the way I feel. That's
the
funny thing about it is I feel the exact same way, only in the opposite spectrum.
This podcast is a great petri dish for kids, though, being introduced to some of our old classics.
He did look at me, though, and say, so if the baby starts in your balls, how does it get to mom's belly?
Well.
And that's when I've said, I need to, because he's got this memory that's ridiculous. And a long time ago, there was a picture of my family without him, because before he was born, he's like, "Where am I in there?" And I just kind of jokingly, because he was 2, "You're in my balls." Like, and he'd never remember that, and that never it comes back so much to haunt me. It's not even funny.
Wow.
I mean, he was 2. How would a 2-year-old remember that till he's 6? It's ridiculous.
That's quite a good job of retaining things. Yeah.
I really think this movie is so much better, though. I think it does hit those dramatic beats really well, and I think it's really exceptionally well paced. The way she weaves the comedy to the point where she brings in the dramatic aspects is brilliant, and then that lovely, beautiful lyrical ending with him just walking away, that giant suit, that is a beautiful ending.
It is a good ending that they might have cut 2 scenes when they do the camera on her, camera on him, camera on her, camera on him. They do that like 6 times. They cut 2 of those out, and I think we're fine. It just seemed a little Peter Jackson-y to me. Just let it happen.
What was your favorite movie of all time? Who directed it, at least?
Oh, the Wachowski siblings. And Tom
Okay, what's your name your top 3 movies? Is Return of the King not one of them?
No,
It
Raiders
was
of
at
the Lost
one
Ark
point.
and Aliens are the
Where is
top.
Return of the King? If you say 4.
It's in the top 10.
At one point, you had that as your favorite. At least
Right,
you'd mentioned
right.
it.
And then I
Okay.
came on the show, watched more things,
We're
readjusted.
slowly destroying him.
Yes.
By the end of the show, he's going to love Big. We're just going to keep going. What wins the Oscar this year? Or sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say that the one thing that I really want to say positively about this is Tom Hanks's performance. I mean, everything that he does is 100% consistent. He's really great in this. When he's riding the zebra and he's just busting through everyone, that's fantastic. All of the scenes with her, he's maintaining something. That's a great job of acting. Like, you can't pretend that you're 13 years old again without really committing to that. What would I have said when I was 13? How would I have acted around girls when I was 13? Everything that she says from an adult point of view, he's doing it back to her, and it's a wonderful performance. I would have to agree with you that it's his best, and he's had so many good ones. Most of them are just by the numbers stoic Tom Hanks, and in this particular one, he shows all of his range.
And to Sean's point, when you have to commit like that, you need the director to not make it look like an idiot. And you could have easily made him look like a moron, I'm sure, if you didn't have a proper, competent director. So I don't know. What won the Oscar this year? I forget.
Rain Man.
Rain Man. I would take this over Rain Man.
Absolutely. Unquestionably.
What else
this
was
over Rain
nominated?
Good question. I have already answered that in public, so Rain Man would be my choice.
I like Rain Man more than Sean did.
Most people like Rain Man more than I do.
I don't know. To me, Big is just, it's that, it's what Wonder Woman or Black Panther or whatever other superhero movies that we call real movies. That's what this one is for me. And I know it's kind of, because it is paced like a popcorn movie in a way. You're not wrong. But I think it's paced, it gets the point across, though, anyway. And you get why he would go back instead of staying an adult. Even though she doesn't want to go back, it all makes sense. I think it's pretty damn close to a perfect movie for especially of the popcorn variety, if you will.
Let's see. It's Rain Man, Accidental Tourist, Dangerous Liaisons, Mississippi Burning, and Working Girl.
Big.
It's better than Working Girl.
Better than Dangerous Liaison.
Yes.
Mississippi Burning's a hell of a movie, though.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. And Accidental Tourist, is that William Hurt?
Yeah, that one sucks.
I do like Mississippi Burning, but I still think, and maybe it's nostalgia, but I still will take Big over Mississippi Burning, despite how great Mississippi Burning is. Shy People any good? I know nobody saw it, but I don't even know.
No, I have no idea.
It was shy of $1 million at the box office. That one was intended this time.
Oh, those big jokes weren't intended?
No.
I thought you were just shying away after we made fun of them. But I apologize. So that's 88. Next week, what comes out? Because I don't want to say it wrong. Is it Hereditary?
Hereditary.
Yes.
And Ocean's 8.
What about Hotel Artemis?
I believe that's the next week. Maybe. Or
2,000 theaters.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know when that one's coming out.
Ocean's 8 is directed by Gary Ross, who co-wrote Big. I happen to notice all of the people that were involved in making the film. Penny Marshall, Barry Sonnenfeld was the director of photography, James L. Brooks was a producer. It was like an all-star team of people that would go on to have even more successful careers after this.
Although Penny Marshall does not work enough.
And Barry Sonnenfeld works too much.
No, yeah, Ocean's 8's got a phenomenal cast.
If there were justice in the world, she'd made a hell of a lot more movies than her idiot brother.
He can't make any more, so
thank God.
But how does he taste?
Yes, Hotel Artemis will be here this week.
Does Gary Marshall taste?
But with that, our Hereditary is the movie I'm most excited about. We're avoiding that completely, though, with the classic.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything.
And I can't. I mean, maybe we could have worked the top 5, but even then you're stretching it. So we're going to do Out of Sight as a classic. And our top 5 is going to be the cast of Ocean's 8, specifically the female. Let's just do the 8 leads. Throw Matt Damon out of that. He doesn't need to be part of this. I mean, I guess it's your top 5, but
honestly, I know that he's
for.
in the movie, and I'm sure that George makes an appearance at some point. I had no idea who is in the movie. Like, it's not Andy Garcia, it's not Al Pacino. I mean, whoever the villain, Anne Hathaway. I just don't know who the male actors really are in the movie. So that's what I meant.
Kate Blanchett's in it, so right there you probably have your top 5. But then
That's true.
Sandra Bullock has a handful of movies that are fun.
The Heat. I love The Heat. That's a great movie.
Well, right, but you got to pick 5, and Kate Blanchett's in it.
That's true. By the way, just a surprise, kind of out of nowhere, we're going to have Pope Francis, A Man of His Word, the documentary, is going to be here as well.
I will be there. No. I'm going to see Poison, maybe.
Oh, sounds like it'll be nothing but a good time.
Want to go?
Boo.
I saw Poison once, and kids were at that show. Man, parents were ushering them out left and right because they had like explicit scenes on their video board behind them.
Well, it's Poison. What do you expect?
I honestly, though, have never seen anything like that before. And parents were like, yeah, I'm going to take my kids to see Poison so they can see what it was like when I was younger. And then they're like, oh, shit. And they started taking him out. That was locally, too.
Can I tell my Poison story that I told you earlier?
Please, go ahead.
I did an interview with my other podcast where we had the drummer from Poison on. And we were talking about bands that are still together. And Poison's the original 4 guys. And we're talking like U2 and Aerosmith. Stryper was the original 4 guys, but one guy got kicked out recently, and Ricky Rocket, the drummer, goes, I didn't know Stryper broke up. What happened? And this is a true story that I read online. It might not be true, but it actually is an article based on it, and interviews between the guys and Stryper. The guy got a divorce. It's against their religion. They kicked him out. That was the guy's version of it. Obviously, Stryper has a different version. But so I told him that, and he goes, well, that explains why his wife was on our tour bus.
Wow. That is a classically Poison line, too.
The crazy part was the PR lady who got this for me represents both bands.
Oh, wow.
So now I have this dilemma. Do I pull it out of the interview or not? I don't think I'm going
Absolutely not.
Oh, this just happened then.
This happened Sunday.
Wow.
Morning.
Man, isn't it amazing that CeCe DeVille is still alive?
Bret Michaels had a brain aneurysm.
Right, but I mean,
should have
CeCe, though. If you've heard those stories, how the hell? He's like, Keith Richards is going, CeCe, you all right?
All right, we've named 3 of the members. What's the other guy's name? I know it. You guys.
Bret Michaels and, I used to know his name. Bobby Dahl?
Yep.
Yes. I was a huge Poison fan. 88, I was 12 years old, so I mean, of course I was a huge Poison fan.
Well, if you're not doing anything Saturday, I have free tickets. I don't know that I'm going to go, but Out of nowhere, they're just like, "Do you want to go?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. My kid has a t-ball game."
I haven't bought that record they put out in '93. I think, like the record that nobody bought.
Was that when CeCe was out?
I think so. Yeah.
Richie Kotzen came in.
Yeah.
I'm a big Richie Kotzen fan. That's the reason.
I'm getting an education here.
Josh is looking at us like when we talk about wrestling.
Well, I like Poison, but it's like I've got their greatest hits, you know.
We just open up and say and look what the cat dragged in combined.
We've gone really random directions, but and this one's kind of random too. But I gotta tell this story about my sister-in-law. She was like, she was only like 8 years older than us, or 8 or 10 years older than us. But we made so much fun of her because when Poison put out the song "Unskinny Bop" and we were just loving that song, she would come in singing "All City Bop." And it's just like the nerdiest parent thing to do.
Man, even the dude that heard half of what was on the radio knew that was on Skinny Bob.
I always love when someone messes up the name of a song or the lyrics of a song when it's the name of the song.
Right.
That's always the part the people that boggles my mind.
Tiny Dancer. Someone in college was like Tony Danza. And
then I had someone try to say that, like, not even a year ago, said, I thought it was Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza. I'm like, fucking friends. Don't pretend like you came up with that. I understand yours.
No, it's a long time ago.
But clearly, after Friends said it, everybody knew the joke. Anyway, that's our show. I do want to thank our Patreon supporters. If you want to be a Patreon supporter, IHateCritics.net/Patreon is the best way to help out the podcast. Get our bonus episodes, get a credit on the show, and then merch when we do it again. We'll start with Jason Bryant and Charlie Messing in our key grip category. Our character actors, Josh and Christina.
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Our special effect level, Corey.
May the Force be with you.
Our associate producer, Jason from New Mexico.
Everybody has to eat shaving cream once in a while.
And our movie stars, Dave Severs and Uncle Jeff.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
If you want to be a Patreon supporter, IHateCritics.net/Patreon. It's the best way to help us out. Always also subscribe on Apple Podcasts if you can. Rate and review the show. Tell your friends. Help us grow the show. And otherwise, we can stick around for after the show if you guys have time. And if not, we'll just be gone after the song. You'll have to wait and find out.
That ought to do it. Thanks very much, Ray. And we're the three best friends that anybody could have. We're the three best friends that anyone could have. We're the three best friends that anyone can have. And we'll never, ever, 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 ever leave each other. We're the best three friends that anybody could have. I mean, the three best friends that anybody could have. That's right, the three best friends.
Big or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Big.
Big.
Oh, you thought longer than I thought you would. Big. Big or 310 to Yuma?
310 to Yuma.
310 to Yuma.
I'll go big, but probably for nostalgia purposes. Big or Lock, Stock, and Smoking Barrels?
Big.
Big.
I agree. Big or Hot Fuzz?
Big.
Big.
Big or Sin City?
Sin City.
Sin City.
That's a tough one for me. I think I'd probably go Sin City as well. Big or 28 Days Later?
Big.
Grande.
Yeah. Big or The Karate Kid?
Big.
Karate Kid.
Fuck you.
Have you watched Cobra Kai yet?
I don't have YouTube Red.
Oh, you got to see it though. It's actually really good. I was shocked.
Yeah, I've heard that it's really good. And so I was thinking, since I don't have that, I would probably love it so much that I'm just going to wait till Blu-ray or something.
They actually take the characters seriously. I thought from the trailer there was some kind of weird parody universe, but no, it's they take the characters very seriously and how they would be grown up from that from the movie. So it's really good.
I almost wanted to play the trailer on the show. Like, that's how excited I was when I saw that.
Yeah, I want to see it too. Big or American Psycho?
Yeah, that's tough. I really like American Psycho, but I think Big is a better movie.
I'll take American Psycho.
I'll take Big as well. Sin City, we already chose that. We're going back there. Big is ranked 198 between Sin City and the Blair Witch Project. Huh. The Wrestler's really high. Anything else you want to do, or you want to go home?
Don't take my yawning as an indicator.
Oh no, I didn't even see it. I've been looking down at that.
We do have to watch The Wrestler. Initial thoughts of Wrestler during the week of Creed 2 or something like. Well, it will depend on who. Yeah, silly me.
Well, no, I think we still, because if you listen to the show, what we've been doing is breaking up weeks. We can do trades, and I think Creed 2, The Wrestler, would be perfect for that.
Yeah. If we want to wait that
So you
long.
remember. I mean, if something else pops up in between.
Of course. I could just also watch it.
Or The Wrestler could turn into Jaws, and we'll do, like, Warrior. Creed 2 comes out. Movie I kind of like, even though Sean's not as big a fan of it.
I'm not.
I'd like to know Josh's opinion, though.
Edgerton and Hardy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't fuck up. Those guys are good. And Nolte, too.
Oh.
You can't lose with that movie.
And yet they did.
One of them does.